East with Dak back at quarterback, Mike Robb.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think what we saw from Dak Prescott and this Dallas Cowboys offense before he got hurt, could you guys put up this full screen? I mean, how he pushed the ball downfield, guys. I mean, 43 completions. All right, of 10-plus air yards down the field. That's third in the National Football League. Almost 1,000 yards on those pass plays, 7 touchdowns. Dak Prescott was off the chain. Now, a lot of these numbers are inflated because the defense was terrible and he had to throw the ball to get them back in games. But I think Dak gained a lot of leverage this past year. The fact that he was hurt, we saw what the offense did with him not being in this offense, and then Dak can still run the football. I mean, Dak has a lot of skill set. He pushes the ball outside of the numbers, probably better than almost any quarterback in the NFL, and he stretches the field vertically. So, they got to make sure that Dak Prescott is on this team not only for next year, but for the long haul. I agree with the franchise tag just simply because he's coming off that injury. You don't know how he's going to be. It's going to protect the team while you work on a long-term deal, because Dak is definitely the leader of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I think when you look at this Dallas Cowboys offense, they were lighting it up. And how many times have we talked about, man, it kind of takes a while when you got a new offense, you're installing a new system. Didn't take Dak very long to find those triplets. And I tell you, CeeDee Lamb in the slot is a nightmare right now. So you look at that offense, you say, man, they were humming. Oh, and by the way, they struggled. They went through 3 right tackles. Tyron Smith was banged up all year. You know, their right tackle didn't even take a single snap all season, Lyle Collins. So you look at the offensive talent, and I say, man, absolutely. The Cowboys, they look like the best team. And then you look at the defense, and you say, what in the wide world of sports is going on around here? There were people running through that secondary all season long. Odell Beckham is still running wild.
No DC, man. Shaun don't do it.
And I think that defense really, I mean, that's the biggest question mark. And when you look at this division that nobody wanted to win last year, look, Philly's got a defense. The Giants' defense surprised a lot of people. They play really well. And Washington is loaded up front. So Dallas, they have the worst defense in that division, and that could end up holding them back.
To Mike's point, Dan Quinn joins the team as the new defensive coordinator.
Love DQ.
Head coach and a great leader of men. Do you think that immediately is an upgrade for Dallas now?
Well, it's got to help. You know, I mean, look, DQ is bringing he's bringing that brotherhood with him, and he's bringing a little Morristown, New Jersey tough with him. So I think that'll help.
And it's a simple scheme. I mean, a lot of, Dan Quinn was with me in Seattle. They run that cover 3 defense. They understand exactly where they're going to be. They're in the right spots, and they communicate. If you bring that to that Dallas Cowboys defense, I think they're a lot better. You saw them last year. They were thinking way too much. Even the players came out and saying we were thinking way too much. You simplify that defense, I think the defense is better by a little bit of subtraction and scheme.
Well, they were a sieve against the run. I mean, they need to shore up that defensive tackle spot. They should be able to do that in free agency, but or the draft, I guess, but either one. But my gosh, they were giving up 30 points a game. I don't care if you have, you know, the second coming of Joe Montana meets John Elway at quarterback. You know, you're not going to be able to always outscore your own defense. No. You can't do it. They've got to fix the defense. But Dak is the guy, and I'm a big believer, you know this, Mike Robb, and you probably have figured it out over the years, Shaun, in sort of the feel of a locker room, the feel a team gets as the season goes along. They need that leader, right? I mean, you know, that's obvious. They need the leader, and their leader left them, what, in week 5 against the Giants. And boy, it got ugly after that.
But Kim, it was ugly before that. So to me, it's like we could talk Dak all we want. It's a 3-facet game.
They were 2 and 3 though in a new system where you might
got lucky. That Atlanta game with that onside kick and the watermelon. They were giving up. I mean,
how about Dan Quinn having to go back down?
I'm not talking about the defense. I'm not defending the defense.
I know you're not.
The offense, I think, would have hung.
Look, we did flips over. They hired Fossil as the special team. The special team was atrocious this past year. Zerline missed field goals. They had all these strange fake punts. There was miscommunication between McCarthy and Fossil, the special teams coach. You know, I just look at it as we get enamored with the numbers, and we get enamored, and I know not us as the 3 of us or the 4 of us, with Dallas. And no matter what, on this network, on ESPN, Dallas is going to be talked about a bunch because it's America's team, and people rally around them. But Washington won the division, and Washington did it with defense and with coaching and with special teams
and with moxie.
Is that sustainable?
They're gonna.
I
mean, let's say,
is it sustainable?
The question mark:
if you
who's
don't have
playing
a quarterback,
right?
There it is.
Who's playing quarterback? Well, this is the great unknown, because Dallas will have the best quarterback situation in the NFC East by a landslide. I think Dak is by far the best quarterback when you compare him to Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, or person X who's starting for Washington. We don't know who that is. But, gosh, this defense found a way to not only beat Dallas on Thanksgiving, but to give every team in that division, outside the Giants, the business when they played them. I just think the Washington team, coming off what they had last year, and with that young defense, and they're all coming back, and Ron Rivera in his second year, I almost feel like you insert a quarterback, and if he's somewhat competent, you're going to be able to play and be able to hang with the Phillies, the Dallas, and the Giants. And when it comes down to the fourth quarter, if you need to stop, we saw Washington was able to do it. Washington's defense played as well against that Tampa Bay offense as any team did in that wild card round. And that was with Taylor Heineke, a quarterback who had not taken a snap all season for them.
He was in grad school or whatever, it was doctorate or whatever the heck he was getting.
It's unbelievable. So let's say they have maybe not a rookie or maybe a Mariota, whoever. You have to think it's an upgrade from what they finished the season with.
And here's what the Chase Young pick did for Washington. First of all, they gave him an absolute superstar on, off the field. I mean, he is magnetic. He is that, and you know, I don't need to tell you guys that. But they also gave that. He also provides a leadership quality that if it is a young quarterback, that quarterback's going to get to grow a little into leadership. He's not going to have to walk in there and rule the roost right away. That defense can say, kid, we got you for a while. To me, that's a real advantage for Washington with the terrific coaching they had last year. Don't forget Jack Del Rio, too. Yeah. He made that work. I know he had a lot of pieces to put together. Right. He was also second coach in command there with Ron Rivera fighting cancer. There were some other wrinkles there that thankfully have all worked out, which is just perfect. But there was a lot on Jack Del Rio's plate last year, and he had that defense humming by the end. Yeah. They were fantastic.
And look, Terry McLaurin's going to be another year.
Yep.
And they're going to
get him a balancer.
Guy, maybe.
Absolutely.
Like, I just think that Washington is not going to get a lot of buzz this offseason, and they only won 6 games or whatever, 7 games. It's not like they went 10-6 and won the division. I understand it, but that defense did such a number on Dak and those. It wasn't Dak in the second game against Andy Dalton.
They knocked Andy Dalton out of the game.
Knocked him out.
Like, defense still to me matters, and I just Mike McCarthy didn't seem like he had those guys humming. Even with Dak, it wasn't a full effort. We'll see. They could be really good this year.
Better have some offense in Washington, too.
I know, you're right.
You better have some offense.
And will be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. Cam has been discussing his future and was asked if he would consider retirement. Here was his response with Brandon Marshall yesterday.
I can't go out like that.
Till the wheels fall off.
No, it's not even till the wheels fall off. I can't go out like that. My pride won't even allow me to do that. And you could talk about this, you could talk about that, you could talk about whatever. Listen, bro, there's not 32 guys better than me. Put it like that. So you're asking me, like, bro, I'm not 32.
Cam, he's got some great conviction. We now welcome to the show a very special guest. He's one of our favorites. He's our front office analyst for the NFL Network. And, of course, you know his titles as a Patriots Vice President of Player Personnel and the Chiefs General Manager for many years. Scott Pioli, welcome back to Good Morning Football. Scott, good morning.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you.
All right, so we just heard an emphatic Cam Newton saying, I'm not below the top 32 quarterbacks in the league right now. I ask you, are you buying in on Cam Newton's sales pitch that he could still be a starter in the NFL?
I completely understand what Cam's saying about himself, and I agree with him that there's probably not going to be 32 starters this next year that are better than him. I also understand his pride. He was emphatic about using the word pride, so I understand the mentality of where he's coming from, being a great competitor. However, when you look at the tape over the last 2 years and the medical reports over the last 2 years, that's what head coaches and GMs can look at. They see a player whose body is potentially older than his years, right? He's had injuries 2 years ago. This year, it wasn't his fault in terms of getting COVID, but you could see over the course of the time of this season, his arm strength, his ability to get the ball down the field, it all started to decline this season. That's what GMs and head coaches have to work off of. So to me, I don't know, and again, it's not a matter of buying it, because quite honestly, it bums me out, because I think Cam Newton is terrific for the National Football League. He's a terrific player. He's a winner. He's a competitor. He's everything that this league needs and wants. I just don't know if his skills at this point in his career are going to allow him, because even though he's better than some of those other 32 people that may be playing, there may be younger players that he's better than that teams are developing to make their future brighter.
All right, Scott. Well, let's keep it there with quarterbacks. In the last month, we've seen the first and second overall picks from the 2016 draft be traded. We're talking about Jared Goff from the Rams to the Lions and Carson Wentz from the Eagles to the Colts. What stands out to you about how things went down in L.A. and in Philly?
Mike, Rob, the two things that stand